Hey guys, welcome to the third video of the Golang URL shortening service project backend series. We are using Go Fiber, Redis, and Docker to create a complete URL shortening project series. So in this video, which is going to be a 10-minute video, I'll work on the database.go file where we'll write some code to connect to our database. And I'll also write the resolve.go file where we'll write our resolve function. So the reason we need our resolve function is because once you use the shorten.go file, which is the shorten function, to create shortened URL of the URL that you put. So you'll put a URL, right? And you'll get a shortened URL. That's what our service does. But then once somebody uses that shortened URL, that needs to redirect to the actual link, right? So what we're doing is we are saving the real link, the long link in our database, and we're creating a short URL link. And when somebody uses this short URL link, we check our database which is the actual link that has a relationship with this link, and then we take the user to that actual link. So that's called as the resolve function. So you create a URL, shortened URL, but you also have to resolve it, right? So that's what we'll be building today. So these two files is what I'll work on in this video. So let's get started quickly and open up your database.go file. In this file, we're going to call this package database. Okay, I'll just cross these things off. And we'll also import a couple of things. The first thing that I need is context. I need my OS package. And the most important thing that I need is the Redis package. So since we're going to be using Redis as a database, we don't have any other database, right? We have Redis as a database. Golang needs to be able to interact with Redis. And this support is provided to us by this external library, which is github.com/go-redis/redis. And we want to use the version 8, which is a stable version. I usually prefer using the version 8. And you will create context by saying context.background. At the same time, you will create a function called create client, and this will be a DB number and it will be integer, and basically it returns a Redis client. How do you get access to the Redis client? You get it from this Redis library that you just imported. That's how you get access to the Redis client, and this function basically is going to create a Redis client for you, your database client, right? Create a variable called RDB usually. Just like with MongoDB, you use a variable mg, which is and with Postgres, you use pg. So that's like a standard, right? So similarly with Redis database, RDB is the variable that you use as a standard. This is what you'll see in if you open up anybody else's code. This is what you'll expect to find. You can use any other variable, but this is like the industry standard. So I'm going to go ahead with RDB. So Redis.new client and ampersand Redis. Sorry, I have a little bit of cough. And then you want the address. Now you remember that you've already created an environment file. And since we have used the go.env package, all these variables, the environment variables, are accessible to us with the OS library that we have just imported here. So the address to be able to create a new client for Redis, right? So if you open up the Redis documentation for this library, go-redis and Redis, this documentation, if you open up, you will realize that you have a function called new client. To be able to create a new client, you need to pass the address, you need to pass your password to the database, and you need to pass your DB, which is your DB number. How do you get access to, so DB number is what you will pass here, but how do you get access to address? You will get access to it saying os.get environment DB underscore address. Similarly for password, you'll get access to it saying os.get environment DB underscore password, and you'll put 2 commas here, put a comma here, comma here. And what you want to return from this function is this client that you have created, which now resides in this variable called RDB. So you want to return RDB from this function. So you'll say return RDB. Makes sense? So this is your entire database.go file. Now you don't have this package. So that's why it's giving you a squiggly line. And you can solve that. You can say go mod tidy. Okay, so it's in the API folder, right? So you'll have to go inside cd API, and then we'll just say go-mod.id. Now you can either get the individual packages. You can say go get github.com, go-redis, blah, 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 all of that. Or you can just say go-mod.id, and it'll keep working in the background, getting all the packages that your project needs. So I'll keep it running in the background because my internet seems to be slow. So this is your database.go file, okay? Now, as we had discussed, I want to work on the resolve function. Now, I know we have a lot of work left still pending in our shorten.go function, but since resolve.go function, resolve.go file is going to be shorter, I want to finish it right now in this video, and then we'll have a continuous video, at least, or maybe 2 continuous videos for shorten.go file. So for resolve.go, open up your resolve.go file. And here you want to call it package routes, because these are both in the routes folder, resolve and shorten, and we had discussed in the previous video that this is going to be called package routes. And having this package kind of a structure where the name of the package is the same as the name of the folder in which the files exist makes it very easy for you to be able to import the package and then access these functions very easily in other files. So this also belongs to package routes, and you have to import a couple of things. So for in my case, I need my database, which is this file, right? So which is my database package. How do I do that? So I'll say github.com/akhil/ my name of the project is. You just go to your go-mod file. This is the name of your project, right? So you just copy it and you paste it here. It's important to get the exact name of the project right. If you make a spelling mistake here, Golang won't understand where to get what you're looking for from exactly. So since in my case the name of the project is long, so I've copied and pasted it. And you need access to database, which is the database packages you just created, and you need access to Redis. So I'll go here and I'll just copy and paste this library because I need access to that as well. And then I need access to the fiber library, which I think I've imported in my main.go file. So I'll copy and paste it here. So in my resolve.go file, I have access to my database, Redis, and fiber. So I have all the necessary things required. Why do I need access to Redis in this file? Is because just like I told you, in our database, in the Redis database, we will store the actual URL that the user used, and then the shortened URL that the user got from us. And now when the user tries to use the shortened URL, we will check in our database that, which is the actual URL for this that the user had used. And now we want to redirect the user to that actual URL, right? So this is why we need to work with Redis in this file. The function is going to be called resolve URL function. So we'll say resolve URL. And if you go to your main.go file, you'll realize that this was your resolve URL, right? And it's a get method because when you actually hit it on your browser, it actually calls a get method, right? So and it'll get it using the URL that you'll post. The URL in this case being the shortened URL. So here you'll say you'll pass C, and which will be basically fiber.context, your standard stuff. It will return an error if anything goes wrong. How do you get the URL? So URL is going to be a variable which you get access to using c.params and URL like this. Okay. And now, like I said, you want to work with the database here. So you'll create a database client. So database.create client. And this is the database number that you have to pass. When I say database.create client, I'm actually talking about the database package and talking about the database.create client, which is this function create client. And you're passing the database number, right? So it says database number is 0. And at the end, when everything is done, you want to also close the database connection. So you always say defer, basically, which means that this function will run at the end of this function when the call stack is at the end, and you'll close your client. Now you want to run some function on the database. You want to check in the database whether this URL exists or not. So you'll say r.get, and you'll pass database.ctx, comma, you'll pass the URL that you have received in your params. When somebody calls this API, right? I'll just repeat it again. Somebody calls this API with the get method, could be from the browser, could be from Postman, or could be just a curl command. You get this in the params, right? So you take that, you capture that in a variable called URL. That's the one that you're passing here. So you're passing that query because I'm not sure if you already know, but Redis is a key value pair database. So for URL, you'll get something, right? So there's a key and there's a value. So for the URL value, we'll get something, key will get some value. So here you want to pass URL because that'll help us to search the database better. And you'll get the result. And the value that you get, right? So you pass the key, which is URL. The value that you'll get, you'll capture in this variable called value, or there could be an error and you'll capture that in error. So now, as you know that whenever we do something like this, right, we always handle error just in the next line. So if error is equal to redis dot nil, we'll say that, this shortened URL was not found. So we'll say return c.status and fiber.status not found .json fiber.map. You want to pass the error actually. So we'll say fiber.map, and inside this you'll say error, and the error is short not found. So short not found in the database. Okay. Here you want to run your else. So you say else if error is not equal to nil. So that means you connected to the database, you tried to find this URL, and you didn't find it, then you'll say shortened URL not found in the database. But if the error is not equal to nil, there is some error already, right? That means that you're not able to connect to the database in the first place. So you'll say return c.status fiber.status internal server error .json fiber map. Inside that, you'll write error cannot connect to DB. Okay. Now you want to increment the counter to 1, so you'll say inr and database dot create. We'll create a new client with 1, which is the first database, and again we'll say defer or inr dot close, and here we'll say inr dot increment database dot ctx comma counter, and you want to return c dot redirect value 301. So all you're doing here is you're just basically redirecting redirect with status 301. You're redirecting the user to the actual URL that you just found in the database. So if you didn't find it, you'll say the URL short was not found in the database. If database was not able to connect, you'll say cannot connect to DB. Put a comma here. But if everything went well, then you'll just redirect the user at the end. Make sense? So this was your result.go file. So we've done our database.go file in this video. We've done our result.go file in this video. Both of these functions are complete. Now in the next video, we'll start working on our shorten.go file, which is your shorten URL function, and a lot of things are left and pending in that. And then finally, I think we'll work on our Docker Compose file. Thank you for watching. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, because this is the kind of awesome content I always come up with. And there are more than 100 Golang videos on my channel. So if you're a beginner developer, there's a lot of content for you. If you're an advanced developer, you like microservices, serverless, that kind of stuff, there's a lot of content for you out there as well. And if you're an intermediate level developer, I'm creating content, a lot of content around that as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. See you.